everybody. So glad you could join us on this Wednesday. I am very excited to have our special guest, Chad Meyer. I am Katie Allred. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Katie Allred. I'm the founder of Church Communication. Today, I am joined by a different founder, Chad Meyer. He owns Focus Ministry, correct?
Yeah.
And they're a really interesting company. They've done some really cool things. We've done some stuff with them in the past, and every time I'm just amazed by the innovation that they offer. And so, Chad, why don't you first, one, tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe two, tell us a little bit about Focus Ministry.
Sure. Yeah. So thanks for having us. My name is Chad. I am the founder and CEO of Focus Ministry. We started this company back in 2014. Before that, I was one of the original developers of Fellowship One, which is like a web-based church management software system.
Yeah.
At the end of 2013, my wife's 9 months pregnant. We just bought a new house, and God's like, "Hey, it's time for you to move on." And so that was a fun conversation to have. But we started Focus Ministry with the same heart. We wanted to help churches really kind of focused on, administrative tasks to free them up to minister better and more effectively. So yeah, I've been doing that ever since.
Yeah. Okay. So you started that to free people up from administrative tasks. That's what I love. Like, that's really the clear message of what Focus Ministry does. They really want to set people up for success. And so today we're actually going to be talking about their ministry engagement platform. And I think my first question to you would be, what is a ministry engagement platform?
Yeah, it's a term that we're hoping to coin a little bit. So, ministry engagement platform, it's software that manages and automates like essential ministry processes, communications, and assimilation tasks to help you pastor people better.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what are ministry engagements and why are they important?
Right. So yeah, let me give you an example, and we'll go to this example a little bit. So let's take a first-time guest. And so they go to church, they feel called to fill out a communication card. And I know it's a little bit different in COVID, but maybe they fill out the form online. That's what we would call a ministry engagement. It's a point in which you can engage with that person. It doesn't have to be a first-time guest. It can be even like a seasoned attender that's interested in volunteering or small groups.
Right.
And so these engagements are important because, we want to lead to minister and help people feel the love and the hope of God. And often, again, this information comes from filling out a card or even web forms, even checking your children in. And so all of those things are points in which we can interact with somebody because, they come to church because they want to connect.
Right. Okay, so if you're not familiar with Focus Ministry, why don't you go to their website? It's focusministry.com/growth. I want you to go on that page and just kind of look down it. I think to really understand it, you kind of got to read through this page and the features and what they're trying to do. So what you're telling me is that you can gather all the data from all different sources. So all the touch points that a user or a person who's visiting your church might have. I think the coolest one, and we've actually promoted this before in our group, is like, you can actually scan connection cards and automatically import them instead of having to like manually type them into the database.
Right. Yeah. So we are able to read handwriting from connection cards and even from the third-party form providers that you have like Wufoo or Gravity. You still have to get that data to your CHMS, and most of the time that's like somebody emails you a CSV that you have to manually type. And so, yeah, through our process, we're able to take all of the data points from all that scattered data and put them into your CHMS and then make decisions on that data. Like, if they check I'm new here and they're female under 18, we want to route them to this ministry instead of this ministry. So again, it's not about losing personability, but rather taking the manualness of everything out of it so you can focus on data integrity and ministry.
Right. And you can work with like pretty much any CHMS?
Yeah, so we do what we'll say like the top, I won't even say it. We do interact with 6 church management software companies.
Okay, yeah, like the top 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome. Okay, so I guess my next question is, what's the difference between ministry engagement and ministry assimilation? Ministry assimilation, is also a very technical word. So you might have to break that down as well for some people.
Sure. Yeah. And, we're scared of the word assimilation internally a little bit because it kind of forms this opinion of first-time guest only, when in fact you
Right.
can assimilate, whether it be, again, your volunteers or small groups, like getting them into deeper spiritual formation. And so so the difference between the two is a ministry engagement is more of like a step in the process of overall engagement assimilation ministry. And so, like I said before, like those touch points as far as data, those cards that you fill out, even as you're having a conversation through text, those are all ministry engagement points. And then the overall relationship is the ministry assimilation. And so a lot of churches call assimilation their first time guests or their growth track or whatever, which we do very well. We just want to expand that into all sides of spiritual formation.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question I have is, how can I measure the effectiveness of our church's ministry engagements or simulation processes? I know you were going to do a demo, but can you speak to that a little bit? And then for those of you who are interested, we're going to post the demo a little bit later. So don't forget to check that out, like and follow our page, and you'll get the demo. I'll post a link as well in the comments in the future. So what can you tell us exactly, how do you measure the effectiveness of the church's ministry engagements?
Yeah, so we've kind of had this idea for a long time, and even back when I was with Fellowship One, is kind of core to every church, which is being in the community of reaching out to people and meeting them where they are. And so, how do we do this is through being able to visualize where are all the people within my span of care in their process of this assimilation track, and understanding, are they progressing the way I think they should progress?
Right.
Are they behind because of X, Y, and Z? But just giving you a visualization and accountability of where everybody is, along with, we've identified that communication that happens between people when it comes to like cell phones, it gets lost because it's just between two personal cell phones. And so we've elevated that to be able to have all of the data within our system so we can make changes to those automated communications and see whether or not that change was effective. We've learned that churches don't like to do change because they can't measure the outcome of it. Like if I change this email now, I don't know what's going to happen, but we're able to show you like, oh yeah, you changed this here, like this communication, and it had a positive outreach. Like there were more people who opened it than normal. So there was more, vice versa. So you can make iterative changes and have a way to either backtrack or move forward depending upon how well you're doing in communicating with people. On top of that, like every campus is a little bit different if you're a multi-campus church. And so your demographics and the people within that area are different. So we allow you to communicate with them the way that you would communicate with anybody within your demographic. And so through all of those processes and those visualizations of those screens, I can come in on Monday and say like, all right, where are the phone calls I need to make and the in-person meetings I need to have? And again, it's not to take the personability out of it, but rather the whole, like, I don't have to worry about flagging things in email or updating a spreadsheet of who I need to contact tomorrow. We can help you move these people through assimilation of any stage for any reason. And they just get a deeper connection within the church because, it's just proven that the more somebody feels loved within the church, the more often they go, the deeper they go to serve, and then they go to give. And so you see that transformation happen through our software.
That's awesome. So the next question I would have is, what are some things that you've seen actually hurt church's growth?
Yeah, that's a great question. And obviously all churches are different. But mostly, they get, it's when they forget about the individuals that make up the congregation. So often visitors and members, they get lost in the shuffle. They leave through the back door, which I'm sure that you've heard multiple times, because they don't feel seen. Growth helps you with every person who you
Yeah.
minister to,
Yeah.
and it engages and gives them that personalized ministry. I always kind of relate this to, contact cards is a big thing to me. I know we're not meeting in person, but
Yeah.
when people fill out contact cards, it's because they want somebody, they're vulnerable enough to say, I want somebody to contact me.
Right.
It's actually like there's a percentage of people where they say, I'm new here. That's not the first time I have data on you. That's just the first time you feel comfortable giving
it to me. Yeah.
And so, some instances it looks like, it's like 3-4 days before people are able to get that data into their church management systems and then do follow-up with them. And that really needs to happen within 24 hours.
Yeah. So now that we're in this COVID era, though, what do you think? I'm kind of, just going back and forth here. Like, now that we're in this COVID era, what do you think, besides a connection card, what do you think would be a good way, like a next step? How do you set up your next steps for people who are online? Like, what would you recommend?
Sure. So, churches are doing a great job as far as creating a digital experience for their people, and from service, and then even coming up with innovative ways to have forms out there that you can collect data. But one thing I think is missing is, if you watch these productions on Sunday, there's not a lot of mention to how I get involved. And so even from, your announcements on Sunday morning to the pastor saying something like, if you need prayer, or if you've got salvation today, then click below and fill out this form. You kind of gotta, people want to get involved, but if you don't tell them how, then they can't do anything. Go searching for it.
Right. Yeah, I think that's definitely the distinct difference. And it's not even different. So that's the funny part, right? So I was just talking about this on another, I don't even remember, some other podcast. I was just talking about, you got to really create a clear path for you, like for people. And so when we're in church, you create a clear path for people to accept Jesus. Like at the end of service, we're walking the aisle, or at the end of service, meet us at the parlor, So, there's a clear like walking path. You've got to create a clear path, but it's a digital path online when you're engaging in an online atmosphere. For most people, that is hard because you can't physically see it. But write it out so you can physically see it. Like, what do they do after they, join us online? Is there a clear call to action? Like right now we have this focusministry.com/growth link, shown below. That is our clear next call to action. That's our clear step. That's what we want people to do. It's the same thing for users online. We would want them to go to a web form, and fill out a form so that we know what their next step is going to be. And so I love that that's what Focus Ministry is trying to do, is just create these clear pathways so that we can gather the information, make sense of the data, and then use the data for action so that we can grow our church. And so, this is phenomenal.
Yeah. And we've actually even added the ability to text specific keywords to start that off, because
nice.
even with the digital age, people, those forms, churches just like they'll throw all kinds of information.
I know, and we don't need that. Like honestly, people are not going to do it. They really, the most you can probably get from them is maybe a name and an email, maybe a name and a phone number. Like people don't want to fill out their entire firstborn child,
Right. So we created a way that you can have like a text word, like hello, text this hello to this number.
Yeah.
And we'll automatically do like this little automated conversation if we don't know who you are. And we'll ask for your name and maybe your email address, and that's it. And then you're off to the races.
Perfect. Yeah. Honestly, I really do think the texting thing, even more so than links, are really where we're going to get a lot of traction for churches, because they are definitely more personable. Like you said, it asks you for your name. It asks you for, so they really feel like it's more of a person that they're talking to. Right. And so, I think that's great.
Yeah. And I think that, I've said this a couple of times, like when you connection card form, whatever, it's a placeholder for a conversation. They're giving you this information so they can talk to you. So there's no sense in asking for the world. Like just get a couple pieces that that allow you to follow up with them, and then you'll get all the data you need.
Right. Yeah. 100%. I completely agree. And so, but it's just getting started and like actually creating these clear paths that people can follow and understand in their digital ministry, especially right now. Once we get back in place, I mean, there's some really cool tools that they offer, like the connection card reader. I just think that when I saw that the first time I saw that, I was like, if I had only had that in college. I used to be like the data entry person for like, for financial aid or something, and I was entering data all day, and I was like, I hate this job. One day the computers are going to do this for me, and the time has come. Now we don't have to sit around and do that all day. So I just think it's really cool. Well, do you have any other closing thoughts? Any other things you would like to address?
Yeah, sure. So just, one of the things that we didn't just, throw out a tool and say, all right, bring your assimilation processes. We actually worked with a lot of churches to come up with what we call like 7 essential ministry assimilation processes that we think every church can implement. I think you can download it from the Church Communications Facebook group. And then with us, with Growth, if you want to take that a step further, with the church communication group, we'll help you get onboarded and set up your tracks and set up all your communication paths to help you get going.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. Hopefully if you are interested, why don't you leave us a comment below so we can get connected with you. And then soon I'm going to drop a link for the webinar so you can see the demo as well and see how the software actually works. And don't want to miss that. So leave us a comment below if you want to get that link. I'll be sure to comment back and remind you so you can watch it later. And thank you so much, Chad, for joining us. You're the best. And I just wish Focus Ministry so much luck because I think this is just really incredible. I think it's going to change ministry. So,
well, thank you. And I think you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for doing what you do. I think, a lot of churches need a place like this to
commiserate.
Either or vent. I've seen the venting part.
Yeah, there's a little bit of venting, but a lot of family,
Yeah,
I think people really need a place of fellowship. So yeah, that's why we created it. So thank you. Yeah, really do appreciate it. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, I have hit stop. It's going to give us a second. Might still be live. Just wave to the people.